Okay. Hello and welcome to the Corgi Town USA podcast. I'm Candy. This is Catherine Cohen of Cohen Coaching and TEDx speaker.
I'm a TEDx speaker.
She's a TEDx speaker. She is our executive producer. This is Chuckles. He's the spokescorg. And somewhere around here we have Digby, who
underneath
is the chair corg of the Corgi committee. So that's who's with us tonight. And tonight we're going to talk about a smelly subject.
It is a very smelly subject, but it's an important subject.
We're going to talk about poop. We're going to talk about poop. So if you have corgis, you have any pets, we all deal with poop, and parents deal with poop, and pet parents deal with poop. So let's talk a little bit about that. Being in a house with 3, usually 4 corgis, because Digby lives with us part-time.
He does. When I go away to, be on the TEDx stage.
Yes, do all those important things.
Yes, do those important things.
For sure. And the yard fills up pretty quickly.
It does. I'm on an acre of land, and even that fills up fairly quickly.
Well, you have other critters too.
So it's open desert. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. The studio is in my home, and I'm on an acre of open desert. So I do have other critters, but you can definitely see where Digby goes, and where I've got to rake stuff up and clean stuff up. And I actually did not know this, and I want to talk to Mike a little bit more about this. But apparently, the fact that my dog's poop is sometimes there and I don't clean it up right away can attract other animals who specifically the coyotes, and that presents a problem for me because I also have chickens, and coyotes like to eat chickens, and it attracts the bobcats, and bobcats, as I sadly found out, I lost 8 chickens to bobcats. 8.
Well, we'll talk about that. Let's not blame it on poop, though. That may be partly just desert living, too.
It could be desert living. It could be a number of things. But I did not know I was attracting, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's a messy business. And we, Booger and Hammer, they're kind of my once-a-dayers. But, Chucky here, he's my super pooper. So we have several poops per day, and it's a big business. So we know it's a must, but luckily there are services that can help us with that. Just like you can hire a housekeeper, you can also hire a pooper scooper. So today we have Mike Casten. Mike, welcome. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have you. And we just have a few questions about what you do. Kat looks like she has a burning question.
Mike, explain this to me, that the fact that if I don't pick up the poop fast enough and that I'm in open desert makes it so that I'm attracting some of the wild creatures. I'm always attracting the wild creatures. They cut through my property, but am I making it worse by not cleaning up after my dog fast enough?
Well, it's certainly not helping. Dog poop, feces has certain odors to it, and lots of different animals can actually sniff out the undigested nutrients that are in the poop. More common to attract rodents and things, but it certainly
Hammer eats it.
And some coyotes and bobcats, and let them know that there's other animals there that they might like to eat on.
Oh, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Oh, all right.
So, Mike, why don't you tell us how did you get started in this business of poop?
Well, years ago, I worked in corporate America, like most of us, and really, it was never for me. I think I was always meant to be self-employed, and I hit a breaking point one day where I literally said I would rather pick up dog poop for a living than do this for one more day. And
we've all been there.
It didn't necessarily happen overnight, but lo and behold, a few years later, here I am making a living out of it.
Well, we're glad to have you for sure. We need you. With all my corgis, I certainly need you.
That's right.
What would you say the biggest challenges are in your business?
It's a very unique business. The initial challenge when starting was just awareness. A lot of people don't know that a service like this exists. Most of us from the old school were raised that kids pick up the dog poop, not paying a service to do it. But we like to provide that service at a fair price, and it's similar to what a lot of people would pay like a neighborhood kid to come pick it up.
Sure.
Aside from that, obviously the obvious, when it rains and we have to deal with sloppy poop is never fun.
Yeah.
And as the company's gotten bigger, I would certainly say that routing and scheduling is a big challenge. We're at a point we have right around 220 regular customers that we service at least once a week, if not twice a week. And, trying to get technicians out to all those in a timely manner to make sure we get it done, especially as it creeps up on summer, and having to wrap the day up a little bit sooner so we're not out there in the blistering Arizona heat.
Yeah, and that's a big valley. For those listening, we are in Arizona in the Phoenix area. We live in a big valley, Mike. You cover a big area.
We do. We cover most of the East Valley, so it spans roughly 6 cities in the surrounding Phoenix area. We don't really go over to the west side or too far up north, but Ahwatukee, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Tempe, and all the way out to Queen Creek. So definitely put on a lot of miles.
Yeah, that is a lot of mileage. Just a lot of poop.
That is a lot of poop.
There is no shortage of poop to go around, let me tell you.
Well, do you have a lot of competition?
We actually have a fair amount of competition. I want to say there's probably 10 to 15 well-established companies in the area. And, this year with the pandemic and a lot of people being laid off work or furloughed, there's been a lot of newcomers popping up. But what I like to say is it's friendly competition. I know a lot of the other scoopers. We kind of refer overflow to each other because, again, there is no shortage of poop.
Right.
No,
well, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, unfortunately, there is no shortage of poop. What I'm going to probably go out of line with your questions or whatever, but
in true cat fashion.
In true cat fashion. What gets done with the poop? That's my burning question. I know.
That's a pretty common question in this field. Okay. And honestly, it gets taken to the dump.
Okay.
We don't run it there directly. I've got a few businesses that I've partnered up with to where I can rent dumpster space. But we haul it away. We don't leave it in our customers' yards, stinking up their trash cans. So, once
That's
we
good.
clean it, we bag it up, haul it off, and then go deposit it in the appropriate locations. That way it's not just getting left somewhere and it's not making a giant stink for anybody that doesn't know about it.
Okay. And I actually have a follow-up question to that. And I know it's not one that you're asking or you're going to ask in 20 minutes. So
she doesn't let me talk. What kind of executive producer doesn't let me talk?
I know. So, as we said earlier in the show, I have chickens. And so that is something that I clean up and I compost. Can that happen with dog poop?
It can happen with dog poop, but it's a very long, drawn-out process.
Okay.
I know of a couple scoopers across the country that, have a bit of property, and they do that with big, giant barrels.
All right.
And you can basically repurpose it into soil. The one thing is, though, with dog feces is that it is not good for like gardens or anything where you're going to grow edibles.
Okay.
Because it can be riddled with bacteria, diseases, parasites, and going through the composting process does not eliminate that. So that's also another reason why poop should be cleaned up regularly, because some people think if you just give it enough time, it'll disintegrate into the ground, but it will contaminate your soil.
Yeah, and it won't disintegrate very quickly here because we have so much gravel and we don't have as much grass and rich soil and rain to kind of absorb it. And I worked for a company in Texas, and I would travel with these corgis. And I remember my boss saying, what are you doing? I would be out there picking up after them. And I said, I'm picking up the dog poop. Oh, let the rain get it. They live on a farm. And so they're used to all these different types of feces. But anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, in Arizona, we can't do that. And so I had to inform him. I said, as a matter of fact, I have a nice gentleman named Mike who has a business, and they come and pick it up for me.
Right.
So I don't have to, because it will stick around.
Yes.
But while we're talking about that, please tell us what the Poodini difference is. What do you think sets you apart from your competition?
Well, I mean, truthfully, anybody with a bucket could get out there and do this job. I think the thing that makes us different is that, we try to really form a bond with our customers and especially our furry friends. Candy, you know that very well. Hi, Chucky. But on top of that, we try to make a big difference in the community. In addition to just our poop removal service, I actually spearhead a toy drive, and what started as a toy drive anyways, but it's really just a drive to get supplies for the dogs in the shelters and local rescues. So we collect
babies,
food, treats, blankets, leashes, collars, and anything that will help those homeless friends of ours be a little more comfortable while they're waiting to get adopted.
I love that.
Yeah,
so sweet.
If it was up to me, I'd adopt them all, but I can't. So
I know the feeling. My wife is a volunteer at the county shelter, and personally, I can't do it because I would bring home a new dog every single time I'm there. And,
exactly.
Yeah, I can't go. I've had, I've rescued 4 corgis now. I've had to let the rescues come to me. I can't go to a shelter or somewhere. If somebody says, "Oh, there's a corgi at the pound," then I say, "Who can go pick them up for me and bring them here?" Because if I walk into that pound, I'm going to be arrested for being an animal hoarder.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I see that. I see that happening.
Absolutely. So, I still wanted to help out, and knowing that I'm not strong enough to go down there and personally volunteer, I figured this was the next best thing, and I'll get them the supplies that they need. And and any shelters that reach out to me with a specific need, if, when winter approached, a lot of them will need blankets. And I put the word out to my customers and through social media, have a couple businesses that are teamed up as drop-off locations, and we'll get truckloads of donations that I can run to them. It's really a beautiful thing. And dogs have been good to me in this business, obviously. So it's awesome to be able to give back to them any way I can.
I love it so much. And when Corgi Town gets open, we will help with that too. Any way we can. Yeah. Help facilitate it. So we think you're doing good work and love it.
Indeed.
So tell us, you've got to have some stories. We would love to hear a story or two.
Well, what kind of a story would you like to hear? Interactions with dogs or some of the hidden treasures that I find out there?
Oh, I want to hear about the hidden treasures.
We definitely want to hear about the hidden treasures.
Okay. Well, obviously, I'm somewhat of an expert in what comes out of dogs. And part of that is what goes into them. So there is no shortage of finds. You do this long enough, you find all kinds of crazy things. I've discovered everything from chewed up panties that are in a log coming out the other end. Little more gross. We'll find women's hygiene products.
Don't get any ideas, Chucky. Don't get any ideas.
Exactly. I found money, paper money, and or coins. That's always a nice little tip once you get it cleaned up. A little gross retrieving it. But,
pennies are dangerous.
It could be dangerous. Luckily, dogs are pretty well at passing things through their stomach.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks goodness. I wouldn't recommend feeding them any of those objects by any means, but they're resilient. They tend to pass them probably easier than a human would. A lot of
they find them on their own. I have, my corgis, which corgis, I know some breeds are worse than others. All dogs always think they're hungry, but the corgis are just walking appetites wrapped in fur. And this one right here has been to the ER once or twice because something went in him that wasn't supposed to. And that's even after my fastidious, watchful eye and him telling, no, how did you get that? Try to get, that's these dogs. Everything looks delicious.
Oh yeah. Craziest one I've ever seen. I went into a yard that, I'm at every week, and I'm walking around, and all the poop is rainbow colored, and it's kind of shiny. And I'm like, this looks like magical rainbow unicorn poop here. So I got it all cleaned up, and I messaged the owner, as I do anytime I see anything out of the ordinary, and asked, and she tells me, "Oh yeah, my dog got into my son's box of crayons and managed to eat all 164 colors."
Oh my goodness!
So it was a very festive poop that day.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness!
I wonder how long that took to pass all the way through 164 crayons.
That's a lot of crayons.
I don't know. It seemed like all of it for that week was there. And then I think there were some remnants the following week. So it probably took a little bit of time to process.
Well, I will say that is one thing that sets you apart is you are really good about that. If one of the dogs has an upset tummy and it's a little harder to pick up than others because it's not fully formed the way it should be, you're very good at letting the owners know, hey, you probably ought to pay attention, make sure that they haven't gotten into anything or that they're not feeling under the weather or anything. So that's very appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that comes with just having a good relationship with the customers. And obviously, I personally care a lot about the dogs, and I instill that to all my employees. It's part of our mission statement and just who we are as a company that, dogs' health and safety is right up there at the top of the list. So, anytime we do anything out of the ordinary, I notify the owner, and I'll give my recommendation with the disclaimer, hey, I'm not a vet, but you might want to try feeding your dog some pumpkin puree. It looks like they have an upset tummy. Keep an eye on them. If you still see it happening, you might want to get them into a vet. And I think our customers really appreciate that, because obviously, when you hire a company like ours, you're not out there picking it up for yourself, so you may not notice those kinds of things. And
exactly,
that's usually the first sign of something wrong, is you're going to see it in their feces.
Yeah, well, and that is appreciated, definitely. And we appreciate that you would look for that. And to your point, that is something that's one of those things. Again, we're talking about poop. And when you have a pet, that's one of the things to look out for. You want to make sure that everything goes in is good for them and nutritious and safe to eat. But you also want to make sure that everything's coming out the way that it's supposed to as well. That's part of the process.
And not just coming out just take a look at it, whether you're walking them or they're going in the backyard, just, take a glance at it. If there's something that looks out of the ordinary, it truly is one of the first signs. In humans and animals, it's one of the first signs. Your digestive system is the most important system for
immune
system. Thank you.
Yes,
the immunity
immune system.
So keep an eye out.
And I remember when I read, Mike, I don't know if you've read it, but I read Marley and Me when it came out. And there's a whole chapter about the things that Marley ate. And he ate his wife's, I believe it was a gold bracelet, a very expensive gold bracelet. And I think he said for like a week, he had to go out and inspect. And that was one of his least favorite things to do. But they eventually recovered the bracelet so he could give it to her.
Again, dogs are resilient.
Yes. And they can also be stinkers eating things they're not supposed to.
Absolutely.
So tell us, have you had some famous clients?
I haven't had any truly famous in terms of like a celebrity, but I can say that one of my current clients was one of the mayoral candidates for the town of Gilbert. She did not win, but it was kind of cool to see that and know that I could have potentially been picking up dog poop for the mayor of the town I live in.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are hopeful. I mean, obviously, here in the Valley, there's a lot of athletes, celebrities, musicians. Like, sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and some of the actual pets are famous. We have some friends that are Instagram stars. So
yes, very, very true.
Chuckles included, right there.
Maybe one day. He has dreams of stardom. He has the drive, that's for sure. Or he's definitely what's the word we say every episode? Pupicist.
Yes, pupicist.
He loves the limelight. He's a pupicist. So Mike, tell us about your pets.
Well, I have 2 rescue dogs right now. I had 3. Unfortunately, my oldest, Killa, who was a Chihuahua French Bulldog mix, passed away this summer.
I love Killa.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart. That one really broke my heart, because I had her for 15 years, before I had my wife and kiddo. So that was definitely a tough one to swallow, but we still have our other 2, Mia and Nogi. Mia is a ginormous, big, doofy love bug. She's a Great Dane Pit Bull mix. Total sweetheart, highly food motivated.
I bet those are big poops.
Those are very big poops. And then our little guy is Nogi, and I call him little. He's actually 70 pounds, but compared to me, he's a little guy. He's a Shar-Pei Pitty. We just rescued him about 2 years ago, so him and Mia are starting to get along well. Killa was the alpha of the pack for sure, so it was a little tough when she passed. Mia absolutely went into a depression for a couple months looking for her big sister, or her little big sister, I should say. Nogi, on the other hand, was absolutely terrified of Killa. So for him, it was a confidence booster, automatic sense of relief. So
the reign of terror is over.
Better, and they're starting to bond pretty well, which is nice. And my wife and I have talked about potentially rescuing one more here when the time is right. But it's a little tough because we have such a good dynamic going with the other two, always introducing a new one into the pack and throw that off. And so we decided that, when the right opportunity comes up, we'll know that dog is ours, and that'll be the one we'll bring home and make another part of the family.
That's so sweet. I love that. And you're right. Those pack changes are very palpable. When Lilo passed away, that's my Rainbow Bridge baby. And he, there's definitely a noticeable difference in the pack with Hammer. Hammer always palled around with Lilo. That was his dude. And so that was very hard for him to get used to. And now he's been around the longest in the pack because and Mike, I think you'll remember, I got Chuckles before Lilo passed because I wanted him to learn from the best dog in the world and, try to kind of transition into having the others around as well. But now Hammer's been the one that's been around the longest because he was around when I had Zelda. And I just always joke because when Digby came around and joined us, Hammer gave me the Corgi side eye, like, another one. You're going to keep bringing them around, aren't you?
Yep. And Bugs does not like
Digby.
Does not like Digby. And when Digby comes to visit or when Digby has to stay over, Bugs just does not like my son, and my son is amazing. So I don't get it.
We love Digby. He's very clunky and he's very doofy. I call him a doof. He's a big doof because he just doesn't realize how much space he takes up, and then he just kind of prances around. And Boog likes things to be very chill, so he gets in her space and she'll show the teeth, and it's very benign. She doesn't have any teeth anyway.
No,
she's a rescue. She had very bad teeth, but it's kind of funny.
She lets him know who's boss.
She does. Yeah. She's like, this is my space. What are you doing? And it move. Bless her heart. But so we are certainly pro rescue here. As we've discussed. So tell us, I did not make a banner, but tell us how we can help your gathering of, but you do this once a year, or you do it periodically?
No, I do it year round. This year's been a little bit different because with the pandemic, a lot of our business locations have done away with the drop box. The county shelter is no longer taking anything that isn't brand new, so no gently used blankets, toys, or open food. So I've been dispersing more to the local rescues. I'm hoping soon as things get somewhat back to a more normal, whatever the new normal is going to be, that we can really start doing more of that again. So, essentially right now it's a lot of, if people reach out to me, I will do my best to go pick it up when I'm out and about running around. There are still a couple of businesses that will allow drops kind of on the down low. We're not really advertising, promoting it as much. So, in terms of help, it's just kind of awareness. Just, if people start following along with our social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Haven't really scaled into the new ones, the TikToks and Snapchats and all that. I'm a little bit old for that, so I'm going to have to get a social media person before we cross that bridge. But
it's a lot to keep up with.
Along, we put out the requests as rescues let us know, like, hey, we're short on wet dog food, and I'll put the word out, and people will usually just spring into action, and we'll get a whole bunch for them and just go deliver it.
That's so wonderful.
It is. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. So we have a little banner here. It's www.poodini.com. And that's www.poodini.com for those listening and not watching. We highly encourage you to reach out to Poodini if you have pets and you have a yard that needs to be cleaned up. And we also encourage you to help Mike with his toy blanket and food drive for our little
Absolutely.
homeless pets.
That's right.
So you can...
really appreciate that on both fronts. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for your time. And I guess we will wrap this up so that Digby and Chucky can take those needed potty breaks.
That's right.
And Mike, any last thoughts or words on this lovely episode about poo?
Nothing special. Would just love to thank you all for having me, and love the Corgi crew. Can't wait till Corgi Town USA is open so I can come play with all the corgis.
Thank you. Us too.
Us too.
Well, thanks so much, Mike. Have a fabulous evening, and please give our love to Nogi
And Mia.
and Mia. Okay, I wanted to make sure I said that right because my brain was saying Maya, but I knew that wasn't right. It's Mia.
It is Mia.
Nogi and Mia, definitely. I'll give them some big hugs from you guys, and hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks so much.
So that was a special episode. We hope you enjoyed it, talking about poo, and we hope that you look into hiring Poodini. They clean up after the Corgi committee, and they do a wonderful job.
They do. Or wherever you're located, if you're not here in the Valley of the Sun, listening to this wonderful podcast, take a look at, who is cleaning up the poo in your neighborhood and perhaps hire them. Yes.
We highly recommend it.
Yep.
So thank you for listening or watching or tonight. We have an episode coming up. We're going to start a segment on a subject that's heavy on our hearts, degenerative myelopathy, which is a disease that can affect many different breeds, but it's very prevalent in corgis. So we have some experts coming up. We hope that you'll join us for that because it'll be very informative. We'll talk about if there's any ways to prevent, how to treat, how it has affected those, or how it is living with it, basically. So if you have any questions about that on those upcoming episodes, you can email me, Candy, CANDIE @CorgitownUSA.com. We hope that you have a wonderful night. Don't forget to call someone to pick up that poop. Thanks so much, Candy, Chucky, and Kat. Signing off for Corgi Town USA.
Bye.